Hi, I'm Dr. Chanley Dickey, Chair Chief of the Department of Psychiatry, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you today to the Joint Mental Health Research and Innovation Day. I really have to thank Arlene McDougall and Cheryl Forchuk for yet another incredibly stimulating day. I looked at the agenda and was just blown away by people's creativity and commitment during these difficult days. We're going to be treated to a whole host of issues, but many of them surround COVID. We are going to hear about the impact of COVID from childhood to how it's affected our seniors. And we know clinically that has created much more symptoms, deeper symptoms, huge senses of loss, of loneliness, of worry, of isolation. But here we're going to hear from experts about the quantification of this impact. And it's important that we do quantify it so that we can continue to advocate for our patients and for our community. We're also going to hear about issues that didn't go away during COVID, issues like PTSD and the devastating impact that methamphetamine can have on people, their brains, and their community. But we're also going to hear about the whole person and how can we intervene differently to help people manage the challenges they experience in their lives. We're going to hear studies about mindfulness, exercise, and connecting youth with older adults to see how they can be allies for one another. And novel teaching methods, the use of simulation, the use of virtual reality, other ways of trying to connect with people and help people learn in novel ways. Now, COVID has particularly impacted marginalized communities, and so we really need to pay particular attention to those communities that need additional supports and help and recognition and need to be honored. We're going to hear about the impact of genocide on community. We're going to hear about people who are homeless or have no fixed address and how we can help them. We're going to hear about the mental health issues in some of our Indigenous communities. These are important. It is important that we leave no one behind as we continue to address the mental health issues and addiction issues of today. I'm sure I speak for you that this sounds like an incredible day. And so I urge you to open your minds and have fun learning along with me today. Thank you all to those of you who will be presenting, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your talks. Take good care.
Sigoli and good morning, wonderful people. My name is Joe Antone. I'm from the United Nation of the Thames. I'm also a social worker on the Beagajeezakon team, which is a mental health outreach team that works for Alosa Native Healing Services. I've been asked to provide a brief opening for you folks to get you started in a good way, and I thank you very much for being asked to do that. As a Haudenosaunee person, typically we start off our events with what's called the Thanksgiving address, also known as the words that come before all others. The purpose of the address is to give thanks and be in gratitude, but also to affirm our role and the other roles in creation and to give them equal importance. The first being that we give thanks to is our Mother, the Earth, and acknowledge the role that she plays in being the ground that we stand on and allowing the plants and the animals and everything else that exists on our earth to grow and be nourished and be sheltered. And so we take that time to thank our Mother, the Earth. We then move to the water and acknowledge the role and give thanks to water and the role that it plays in quenching our thirst and moderating the temperature of the earth and watering our plants and everything else that water does. So we stand in thanks for the water. We then pay our minds to the animal life in the water and the role that it plays, not only to purify the water so we can drink it and use it, but also the animal life that is part of that food web of providing food and nourishment for everything else. We then bring our minds to the plant life and starting with the food plants and all that those food plants do to keep us full and keep those other animals full as part of that web of life and part of that interconnection. We then pay our attentions to the plant medicines and all they do to cure illness and keep us healthy um, and allow us to meditate and be mindful. Just as important for our mental health as it is for our physical health. We then pay attention to the people and the role that we play in being part of that interconnectivity, but also you know acknowledging the privileges we have of having such a special brain, an advanced brain, and using that for good and not taking advantage of the other beings in creation and living up to that role to live in harmony. We acknowledge the trees and the role that the trees play in providing structure and providing housing and nests for animals and shade. And I think about a cedar bush, for example, in the wintertime, deer live in the cedar bush, and it's oftentimes 10 degrees warmer in the winter, and then the shade in the summer is often 10 degrees cooler in the summer. So the role that the trees play is remarkable, and we stand in thanks for that. I want to acknowledge the role of the winds and the role that they play in getting that hot air out of here in those hot summer days and moving around and distributing seed for new life to grow elsewhere and everything else that the wind does. Then move our attention to the role of the thunders and the lightnings and the role that they play in moving that water around, dispersing that water, and even creating fire with lightning and the need for forests and areas to burn to support new growth. We then move our attentions to the sun and the role the sun plays to provide heat for the earth and just how important that is for all life on this planet. We then bring our attention to our grandmother, the moon, and the role she plays in mediating the tides and using it for travel and measuring the concept of time by the faces that she gives us throughout her monthly cycle. And then we pay attention to the enlightened ones. Those are those beings that have come and gone who, when we're out of harmony, have gentle ways to remind us that it is our role to live in harmony. We then pay attention to the stars and the role the stars play in helping our people navigate and gazing in beauty and letting us imagine. And then finally, we pay our attentions to creator or creation and the role that creator plays in making all of this happen. And creator has its own ways of reminding us to live in harmony and to uphold our duty as people that exist as part of a larger whole. So that's our Thanksgiving address, and I think it has so much applicability for the day that you have ahead of you. I think it's really important to ask yourselves, what are your roles and what are your duties to live in harmony in an ecosystem of a mental health system? And are you prepared to give credence and validity to all of those different roles, whether it be the role of the clinician, the role of the researcher, the role of the client, the role of the politician, and challenge yourselves to to grow in all all those different ways that you need to grow. And I will issue that challenge to you today to think outside the box, to open your mind to things that it may have been closed to previously. I also want you to have some fun today. Your brain works so much better when you're having a good time. So have some fun. Speak with bravery, speak with love, speak with kindness, and please enjoy each other's company. You'll go and have a wonderful day.